across the vast landscapes of northern Europe lies a realm seemingly sculpted by the hand of God, the Norwegian Fjord Mountains. Here, glacier-carved cliffs plunge directly into the sea, whose waters are as deep and dark as ink, reflecting the ever-changing light of the sky. In the early morning, mist drifts gently through the valleys, while distant waterfalls cascade from towering heights like silver ribbons, glimmering in the sunlight. As the drone camera slowly advances, we are presented with nature's grandest masterpiece, the Norwegian fjords. This combination of mountains and fjords is often hailed as the most beautiful scar on Earth. It is not only a visual feast, but also a stage where geological evolution, climate change, and human history converge. Each fjord is a record of time, shaped by the immense forces of the Ice Age. Each peak carries stories of antiquity, witnessing the encounter between humans and nature. The first impression of the fjords is often a blend of majesty and serenity. Imagine standing atop Preikestolen, looking down at the Lysfjord stretching silently below, its waters reflecting both the sky and the cliffs like a mirror. In that moment, you feel the smallness of your own existence, yet also a profound connection between life and the universe. What makes the Norwegian fjords truly unique is the extraordinary harmony they embody. The mountains soar like guardians along the coast, while the deep waters, cold yet crystalline, seep into the valleys. It is the interplay of ice and water, rock and sea, that has created this unparalleled landscape. For scientists, the fjords are an open geological textbook. Millions of years ago, glacier acted like colossal carving tools, sculpting U-shaped valleys that were later flooded by seawater, forming the fjords we see today. For travelers, however, they are sacred spaces for dialogue with nature. Whether sailing along the fjords or hiking the mountain trails, each step feels like walking through the river of time, sensing the pulse of the earth. Even more captivating is the fjord's constant dynamism. Glacier continue to flow slowly, rocks weather under wind and rain, and waterfalls rush relentlessly through the seasons. In spring, melting snow fills the valleys with the songs of streams. In summer, greenery stretches to the horizon along the fjord sides. Autumn brings golden leaves that adorn the valleys. In winter, the fjords don a silver mantle, and the northern lights dance across the night sky. The changing seasons reveal an endless array of faces for this remarkable landscape. Yet, the fjord's significance extends far beyond scenery. They are cradles of Nordic culture, starting points for Viking voyages, and sources of inspiration for poets, painters, and musicians. Norwegian national memory is deeply etched into these mountains and waters. For locals, the fjords are not merely a view, they are home and a spiritual anchor. Today, as we observe the fjords again through aerial shots, time-lapses, and high-definition cameras, we're not only admiring natural beauty but also asking deeper questions. Why has nature shaped this land in such a way? And how should humanity coexist with such grandeur? In the journey ahead, we will delve into the secrets of the fjords, from their geological origins and glacial movements to ecological marvels, human history, auroral wonders, and the challenges of climate change. Each chapter brings you closer to this land of miracles. So, follow my lens, calm your mind, and step into the fjords. Step into nature's most magnificent poem. In the face of the majestic Norwegian fjords, we often marvel at their grandeur, yet few realize that these landscapes are masterpieces painstakingly carved by the earth over millions of years. To truly understand the origin of the fjords, we must travel back through the long history of geological evolution to an era dominated by ice and stone. The formation of fjords is inseparable from the power of glacier. Around 2.6 million years ago, the Earth entered the Quaternary glaciation period. The cold climate blanketed northern Europe with thick layers of ice. Imagine these ice sheets not as stationary, but as massive rivers of ice, slowly yet irresistibly flowing down the valleys. Wherever they moved, rocks were abraded, mountains sculpted, and originally V-shaped river valleys gradually transformed into smooth, wide U-shaped valleys. This landscape transformation was far from instantaneous. It occurred through repeated glacial cycles over millennia. Glacier acted like colossal sculptors, silently cutting steep cliffs, grinding rocks into sand and gravel, and pushing them far away. When the glacier eventually retreated and seawater flooded the valleys, the fjords as we know them were born. In other words, fjords are the enormous scars left by glacier, yet in the interplay of light and shadow, they have become forms of exquisite beauty. Norway's fjords are particularly unique in their depth and length. Take the Sognefjord, for example. It is Norway's longest and deepest fjord, stretching 205 kilometers, with depths exceeding 1,300 meters. What is even more breathtaking is that the surrounding peaks often soar above 1,000 meters. This creates a vertical contrast of over 2,000 meters from water to mountain summit, making the landscape appear as though the earth itself has been torn open by a deep, dramatic rift. Geologists often refer to glacial troughs when studying fjords. This term describes how glacier, as they flowed through valleys, not only carved the valley floors but also relentlessly eroded the valley walls, resulting in steep sides and flattened bottoms. Over time, rocks beneath the glacier were crushed and ground into fine particles, which were eventually pushed toward the fjord mouths, forming thick sediment layers on the seabed. Even today, sonar scans of fjord bottoms reveal the traces left by glacial movements. Fjords also reveal the cyclical nature of Earth's climate. Each ice age, and the intervals between them, reshaped the fjords. During glacial periods, fjords were covered in ice and almost lifeless. During interglacial periods, melting snow and flowing water turned them into cradles of life. Through these cycles, the fjords gradually evolved into the landscapes we see today. Beyond glacial sculpting, tectonic activity provided the stage for fjord formation. Norway lies within the ancient Caledonian mountain belt, which uplifted hundreds of millions of years ago due to plate collisions. Over time, the mountains eroded, yet when the Quaternary Glacier arrived, these ancient ranges became perfect targets for glacial carving. The combined effects of glacial and tectonic forces ultimately shaped the fjord's near-perfect structures. If glacier were the sculptors, seawater was the finishing touch. When seawater flooded the deep U-shaped valleys, the fjords became true marriages of sea and mountain. Unlike ordinary bays, fjord waters are long and narrow, calm on the surface yet hiding strong currents below. Scientific studies show that fjord waters are stratified. The upper layer is fresh, fed by melting snow and streams, while the lower layer is salty, coming from Atlantic tides. This layered structure not only influences fjord ecosystems but also makes them significant subjects for oceanographic research. Standing at the edge of a fjord, one may only see sheer cliffs and deep blue waters. But viewed across the scale of time, these landscapes represent a slow, magnificent dialogue between the Earth and glacier. Millions of years of wind, snow, and glacial erosion have produced the tranquility and grandeur we witness today. Even more fascinating, scientists can reconstruct ancient climates by analyzing fjord sediments. Pollen grains, glacial debris, and organic matter preserved in these layers reveal the climate conditions of the past. In other words, fjords are not merely scenic wonders, they are archives of Earth's history. These studies allow us to understand past climate shifts and to anticipate future trends. So, when you sail along a fjord, watching cliffs and waterfalls rise on either side, imagine what this landscape looked like millions of years ago. Back then, glaciers moved like giant dragons across the Earth, shaping mountains and seas with unimaginable power. Today, every detail you see bears the mark of that colossal force. Fjords are both masterpieces of nature and storytellers of the Earth. They remind us that great landscapes are rarely sudden miracles. They are the cumulative result of time and force. Glacier retreat, seawater floods in, life returns, and through this cycle, fjords become one of the most magnificent chapters in the story of our natural world. When we think of the Norwegian fjords, the first images that come to mind are often the dramatic landscapes carved by glacier and the seamless merging of sea and sky. Yet, the true allure of the fjords extends far beyond rocks and water. They are sanctuaries of life. Beneath what appears to be a harsh natural environment, fjords nurture extraordinarily diverse ecosystems, spanning from deep waters to towering mountains, from microscopic plankton to majestic eagles, each organism composing its own chapter in this living story. The unique ecology of the fjords owes much to their special water structure. Fjord waters are generally stratified into two layers. The upper layer consists of fresh water from melting ice and mountain streams, while the lower layer connects to the salty waters of the Atlantic Ocean. This layering creates a distinct halocline, making fjords resemble both a vast inland river and a section of the open sea. The mixing of these waters enriches the ecosystem with nutrients, providing ideal conditions for life to thrive. At the bottom of the fjord, countless plankton flourish. These tiny organisms form the foundation of the entire ecosystem, converting sunlight and carbon dioxide into organic matter through photosynthesis, and serving as the starting point of the food chain. During spring and summer, as ice melt introduces an abundance of minerals, plankton undergo explosive growth, creating spectacular plankton blooms. The waters take on vivid shades of green or blue, as if the fjord itself is breathing. Following this plankton boom comes a feast for larger creatures. Shoals of herring, cod, and salmon navigate the fjord waters, feeding on plankton while providing food for seabirds and predatory fish. Salmon play a particularly vital role. Every summer, thousands return from the Atlantic, swimming upstream through fjord streams to reach their birthplace and reproduce. This migration is both awe-inspiring and poignant, standing out as one of the fjord ecosystem's most remarkable natural spectacles. Above the waters, another story unfolds. Sea eagles, gulls, and cormorants soar high, their keen eyes scanning for fish below. The white-tailed sea eagle, often called the king of the fjord, is especially striking. With a wingspan exceeding 2 meters, it slices through the air with majestic precision. When it plunges its talons into the water, it can snatch large fish effortlessly. For photographers and viewers alike, such moments vividly capture the vitality of fjord life. The cliffs lining the fjords are equally teeming with life. Thousands of seabirds nest in the rocky crevices, and during summer, the cliffs become bustling breeding grounds. Their calls rise and fall like a natural chorus. Hatchlings emerge, parents return from fishing in the fjord, and every interaction adds warmth and vibrancy to this rugged landscape. Ascending further, the mountain zone reveals yet another ecological stage. Forests of pine, birch, and spruce shelter elk, deer, and foxes. During summer, these animals forage in the valleys. In winter, they descend to lower elevations in search of food. In the snow-covered areas of the fjords, wild reindeer occasionally leave tracks, pouring through thick snow to find moss and lichen, an enduring testament to life at high latitudes. Fjord ecology is not only reflected in large species but also in the smallest details. Mosses and lichens colonize cracks in the rock, pioneering life on the fjord cliffs. They slowly grow, break down rock, and accumulate nutrients, laying the groundwork for more complex plant communities. In late spring and summer, alpine flowers burst into color, turning the fjord slopes into vivid mosaics. Purple bellflowers, yellow buttercups, and white heathers sway in the wind, contrasting beautifully with the deep blue waters below. Within this seemingly tranquil ecosystem, every organism participates in intense competition and cooperation. Fish chase plankton, raptors hunt fish, seabirds nurture their young on cliffs, and mammals forage in forests. Together, they form a vast and intricate food web that maintains the ecological balance of the fjords. Yet this balance is fragile. With climate change, glaciers are visibly retreating, and the temperature and salinity of fjord waters are shifting. These changes directly affect plankton populations and distribution, cascading through the entire food chain. Recent studies reveal declining fish stocks in some fjords, putting seabirds and raptors that depend on them under significant survival pressure. This is the paradox of fjord ecosystems. They are both incredibly rich and highly vulnerable. Like a complex symphony in the mountains, every note is interconnected. If even one is disrupted, the entire composition risks losing harmony. Standing at the edge of a fjord, one can sense not only the power of geology but also the whispers of life. From plankton to sea eagles, from mosses to reindeer, every organism plays its part in this grand symphony. Together, they demonstrate a profound truth. Even in the harshest environments, life persists with remarkable resilience, creating vibrancy beyond imagination. The ecological wonders of the fjords are not merely gifts of nature, they are also a reminder to humanity. We are both listeners and participants in this symphony. How we protect this delicate balance will determine whether the fjords can continue to exist in their purest form for generations to come. The fjords are not just masterpieces of natural sculpture, they are stages of human history. In this vast land where sea meets sky, once lived a people renowned for their courage and spirit of exploration, the Vikings. The rugged coastlines, deep waterways, and natural harbours of the fjords provided them with ideal homes and perfect launching points for their voyages. Even today, the Norwegian fjords retain the unmistakable imprint of the Vikings, each stretch of water whispering ancient legends. Over 1,000 years ago, the Vikings set sail from these fjords in their longships, navigating across the Atlantic. They were not merely raiders, but explorers and traders, journeying to the British Isles, the Seine in France, even as far as Iceland, Greenland, and ultimately North America. This epic maritime history cemented the Vikings' unique place in world history, and the fjords were their cradle. The fjord landscape was central to Viking life. Deep channels allowed longships to reach inland settlements, facilitating the transport of goods and troops. Towering mountains provided natural defenses and vantage points to spot distant enemies. Many fjord villages functioned like natural fortresses, hidden yet sturdy. Growing up in such an environment, the Vikings developed resilience, bravery, and a warrior spirit. Their ships remain one of the most iconic symbols of fjord culture. Viking longships were light, flexible, and strong, able to glide through shallow waters or withstand the open ocean's waves. Their design reflects not only Viking ingenuity but also a deep adaptation to fjord geography. Even today, museums in Norway preserve remarkably well-kept longships, adorned with intricate carvings, silent reminders that these waters were once starting points for some of history's most remarkable voyages. Yet the human story in the fjords extends beyond war and exploration. In the fjord's sheltered depths, generations of farmers and fishermen built homes and communities. On steep slopes, small wooden houses dot the landscape, their grass-covered roofs providing insulation and blending harmoniously with nature. Farmers cultivated barley and oats, raised goats and sheep, and developed a tenacious agricultural culture despite limited land. Fishing was equally vital. The fjords were rich with cod, herring, and salmon, providing a crucial food source. Dried cod and pickled herring were essential for winter survival and long sea voyages. Even today, Norwegian fisheries thrive, and seafood from the fjords is celebrated worldwide for its purity and quality. Though remote, fjord villages were never isolated. Since the Middle Ages, they became integrated into European trade and culture. Ships transported fish and timber while bringing cloth, metal tools, and religious practices. Small wooden churches bear witness to this exchange. Many of these churches still stand, their tall roofs harmonizing with the surrounding mountains, serving as centers of faith and community cohesion. Over time, the fjords evolved from the stage of warriors and farmers to a source of inspiration for artists and travelers. In the 19th century, with the rise of Romanticism, European painters, poets, and explorers flocked to Norway's fjords, captivated by their breathtaking beauty. Countless artworks from that era immortalize the fjords, transforming them from cold geological formations into poetic, soulful symbols of nature. Modernity has not erased these traditions. Today, fjord communities maintain a simple lifestyle. People fish using modern vessels but still herd sheep in summer and harvest hay on mountain slopes. Many families run small inns or farm stays, inviting visitors to experience traditional wooden houses, local crafts, and regional cuisine firsthand. At the same time, the fjords have become a global destination. Every summer, cruise ships and backpackers flock to witness postcard-perfect vistas. Tourism brings economic opportunity but also environmental challenges. To preserve the fjord's pristine nature, Norway enforces strict environmental measures, limiting cruise emissions, promoting electric boats, and protecting wildlife habitats. These efforts safeguard both nature and the continuity of fjord culture. Today, the fjords are no longer secret Viking harbors but natural wonders connecting the world. They carry centuries of history and bear witness to humanity's evolving relationship with nature. From Viking longships to modern cruise vessels, from farms to ecotourism, the human story of the fjords continues to unfold, and will do so for generations to come. Standing on a fjord's edge, gazing at snow-capped peaks and deep waterways, one can imagine Viking longships slicing through the waves while sensing the relaxed rhythm of contemporary village life. The human story of the fjords, like the landscape itself, is both grand and delicate. It reminds us that humans are not conquerors of nature, but travelers living in coexistence with it. If the fjords are a massive history book, then every page is filled with the Earth's timeless forces and enduring power. Standing at the edge of a fjord, gazing up at towering cliffs and down into deep waterways, one cannot help but wonder, how are these magnificent landscapes formed? The answer takes us back millions of years, to tectonic upheavals and the age of glacier. The origins of the fjords are closely tied to the movement of Earth's plates. Around 400 million years ago, the European and North American plates collided, generating immense pressure that uplifted the seafloor sediments, giving rise to what is now the Scandinavian mountains. Over time, these mountains underwent weathering, erosion, and tectonic shifts, gradually shaping a complex terrain. Yet the defining force behind the fjord's dramatic forms was the glacier. About 2.5 million years ago, the Earth entered the Quaternary Ice Age. The climate was far colder than today, and thick ice sheets, several kilometers deep, covered much of northern Europe. These massive glaciers flowed like slow-moving rivers, advancing into valleys. Their immense weight and movement acted like countless razor-sharp carving tools, sculpting the mountains with relentless precision. As the glacier pushed forward, valleys were ground into deep U-shapes, rocks were stripped away and transported, eventually being deposited far from their origin. This glacial carving and transport created the fjord's most distinctive features: narrow, steep, and profoundly deep. Unlike ordinary river valleys, fjord bottoms often lie below sea level. When the glacier melted, seawater flooded these deep valleys, forming the stunning fjord landscapes we see today. In other words, the fjords are water sculptures left behind by retreating glacier. To geologists, fjords are natural laboratories of glacial activity. On the cliffs, glacial striations are often visible. Grooves, polished rock surfaces, and massive boulders testify silently to the glacier-former presence. By analyzing these rocks, scientists can estimate glacier thickness, flow direction, and even the rhythms of past climate change. The fjord's depths are equally astonishing. Take the Sognefjord, for example. At its deepest point, it plunges over 1,300 meters, deeper than many nearshore ocean areas. This depth creates unique hydrological conditions, an upper layer of mixed freshwater and seawater, and a lower layer of nearly stagnant saltwater. Such stratification fosters distinctive ecosystems and makes fjords a focus of oceanographic research. The formation of fjords was not instantaneous but unfolded over millions of years. Glacial and interglacial periods alternated, with glacier advancing and retreating repeatedly, leaving new marks on the mountains each time. The majestic fjords we admire today are the cumulative result of this slow, enduring process, a legacy of glacier and a record of Earth's climatic history. Hidden within the fjord rocks are even older secrets. The bedrock of the Scandinavian mountains dates back over 1 billion years, to the Precambrian era. Subjected to intense heat and pressure, these rocks metamorphosed into granite, gneiss, and other resilient materials. Their hardness allowed fjord cliffs to withstand glacial carving without collapsing entirely, preserving the dramatic vertical relief we see today. Water, too, continues to shape the fjords. Rainfall, snowmelt, and glacial runoff flow into the fjords, carrying sediment and organic matter. Over time, this accumulation forms deltas and alluvial plains, flat areas that often become ideal sites for human settlements. Many fjord towns owe their existence to these natural sediment deposits. By drilling into the fjord floor, scientists can reconstruct hundreds of thousands of years of climate history. Sediment layers function like tree rings, recording yearly variations in silt, organic material, and pollen. These tiny traces allow researchers to infer glacier fluctuations, temperature changes, and even ancient human impacts on the environment. Fjords thus form a bridge between geology, climatology, and anthropology. Yet the geological story of the fjords also serves as a reminder. Nature's power is both magnificent and fragile. With global warming, glaciers in northern Europe are retreating at unprecedented rates. Valleys once locked in ice now reveal bare rock during the summer months. The disappearance of glacier not only diminishes the fjord sculpting force but also threatens downstream water supplies and ecosystems. For travelers, the fjords are breathtaking scenery. For scientists, they are keys to understanding Earth's history. Standing on the fjord's edge, one can almost hear echoes of time. Millions of years of tectonic movement, millions of years of glacial carving, and thousands of years of climate shifts have all left their mark on these waters and mountains. The beauty of the fjords lies not only in their visual grandeur but also in the depth of time they embody. They remind us that Earth's history is not an abstract concept. It exists tangibly in rock, ice, and flowing water. Every gaze up at the towering cliffs is a dialogue with deep time itself. If the fjord's geology forms their skeleton, then climate and the changing seasons give them their soul. The climate of Norway's fjords is unique and complex, shaped by the cold of the high northern latitudes yet softened by the warmth and moisture carried by the Atlantic currents. Under these conditions, the fjords reveal a dramatically different face with each season, every one a living, moving masterpiece. Latitude-wise, Norway sits near Alaska and Greenland, regions that might be expected to remain icebound year-round. Yet the Atlantic warm current changes everything. Originating in the Gulf of Mexico, this powerful current crosses the North Atlantic, bringing warmer waters to the Scandinavian peninsula. Because of this, the fjords do not freeze entirely in winter, and many waterways remain navigable even in the coldest months. This warm current also brings moisture. When the damp air meets the fjord's towering cliffs, it rises and condenses into rain or snow. Norway becomes one of Europe's wettest regions, with annual precipitation in some fjord areas exceeding 5,000 millimeters, giving rise to countless waterfalls and rushing streams. As the snow and ice begin to melt, the fjords awaken into their most vibrant season. Glacial meltwater pours into the fjords, rivers swell, and waterfalls reach their peak in both number and volume. Valleys turn green with fresh grass, wildflowers bloom, and migratory birds return from the south, heralding the new cycle of life. During this time, temperatures remain cool, ranging from 5 to 15 degrees Celsius. Daylight extends rapidly, and the onset of the midnight sun bathes the fjords in soft, ethereal light. For video creators, spring offers perfect opportunities to capture rushing meltwater, roaring waterfalls, and the first glimpses of greenery, a season that visually narrates nature's shift from stillness to vitality. Summer is the fjord's busiest and most lively season. Long daylight hours and warmer temperatures turn the fjords into a paradise for tourism and boating. The slopes are lush with vegetation, orchards bear young fruits, and snow still caps the mountaintops while the valleys flourish with life and color. The fjord waters mirror the sky and greenery like a perfect, tranquil glass. Temperatures typically range from 15 to 25 degrees Celsius, making summer the most comfortable season for both residents and visitors. Local communities cultivate vegetables in gardens, tourists explore the fjords by cruise or kayak, and the nearly endless daylight creates magical visual opportunities, with the midnight sun illuminating the valleys in a dreamlike glow. As temperatures drop, the fjords don their autumnal robes of gold and crimson. Larch, birch, and maple leaves turn brilliant shades, contrasting sharply with cliffs and snowy peaks. Fjord waters reflect this kaleidoscope of colors, creating scenes reminiscent of an oil painting. Autumn weather can be unpredictable, alternating between sunshine and rain. Mist and fog often fill the valleys, crafting a mysterious, cinematic atmosphere, ideal for time-lapse photography that captures the fluid movement of fog rolling through the fjords. Winter is the fjord's most austere and solemn season. Mountains and valleys are blanketed in snow, waterfalls freeze into crystal curtains, and the fjords seem to slumber. Yet thanks to the North Atlantic warm current, many fjords remain partially ice-free, allowing boats to glide through snow-tinged landscapes, creating an almost otherworldly scene. Winter temperatures often dip below zero, transforming fjord towns into fairytale villages. At night, the aurora dances across the sky, reflecting on snow-covered peaks, a mysterious, romantic spectacle. Cameras can capture the surreal interplay of northern lights and frozen fjords, revealing the grandeur and magic of nature. The fjord's seasonal rhythm does more than shape landscapes. It influences ecosystems and human life. Spring meltwaters nourish pastures and farmland. Summer sunlight promotes crop and fruit growth. Autumn harvests celebrate abundance. And winter snow tests the endurance and ingenuity of residents. The climate and seasonal cycles create a natural rhythm unique to the fjords, forging a deep connection between humans and nature. For scientists, changes in the fjord's climate are sensitive indicators. Glacier retreat, rising snow lines, and shifting precipitation patterns all reflect the effects of global warming. The fjords are thus known as climate sentinels, reminding us to pay attention to Earth's future trajectory. For travelers, the fjord's seasonal cycles offer endless wonder. From the vitality of spring, the abundance of summer, and the vibrant palette of autumn, to the serene stillness of winter, each season tells its own story. The fjords are not only a geographic marvel, they are a symphony of the natural world, composed in the key of the seasons. The fjords are not merely products of geology and climate, they are stages for life itself. In this landscape sculpted by glacier and sea, life demonstrates remarkable adaptability and astonishing diversity. From the deep underwater world to the snow-capped mountain peaks, each ecological layer hosts unique forms of life. The fjord's waters are clearly stratified. The surface layer consists of fresh water from glacial melt, while the deeper layer retains salty Atlantic water. This layered water structure makes the fjords a natural laboratory for marine ecology. Nutrient-rich surface waters support vast blooms of phytoplankton, which form the foundation of the fjord's food chain. They absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, playing a crucial role in the global carbon cycle. As spring and summer arrive, zooplankton and fish become active. Herring, cod, and salmon forage and spawn the fjords, attracting seabirds, seals, and whales. Underwater filming can capture schools of fish swirling in the emerald waters. In slow motion, thousands of fish shimmer in the refracted sunlight, resembling a flowing river of stars. Norway's fjords are also vital nesting grounds for migratory birds. Each summer, millions of birds travel from Africa or the Mediterranean, returning to cliff faces, islands, and lakes to breed. Puffins, cormorants, Arctic terns, and black-legged kittiwakes are among the most common species. The puffin is the fjord's star attraction. Its round body, colorful beak, and clumsy flight are unforgettable. Puffins dart among cliffs, catching fish to feed their chicks. A close-up underwater shot can reveal their astonishing hunting skill. They can grab a dozen small fish in one dive, holding the first catch firmly between their beak. Arctic terns, the longest migratory birds, travel from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back, over 70,000 kilometers. The fjords serve as crucial breeding stopovers. Capturing their wings slicing over the fjord waters highlights both the grandeur of nature and the miracle of life. The forests and slopes flanking the fjords are also wildlife havens. Moose, reindeer, mountain goats, and red foxes traverse these areas. Moose, often called kings of the north, are massive yet agile, frequently seen drinking from streams or nibbling fresh shoots. High in alpine meadows and rocky cliffs, mountain goats demonstrate incredible climbing ability. They navigate near vertical walls and leap across ledges with ease. Wide shots can emphasize their skill against the backdrop of sheer cliffs. At night, red foxes emerge. Their reddish-brown coats stand out against snow, and they hunt with stealth. Infrared cameras can track their nocturnal activities, revealing the hidden rhythms of fjord wildlife. In the harsh environments atop glacier and tundras, specialized plants thrive. Lichens, mosses, and dwarf shrubs endure low temperatures, wind, and nutrient-poor soils, completing their growth and flowering quickly during short summers. Though unassuming, these plants form the foundation of the entire ecosystem. They stabilize soil, retain moisture, and provide habitats for insects and small animals. In summer, alpine wildflowers bloom across the fjord slopes, purple, yellow, and white petals dotting the green grass like a natural painter's palette. At the top of the food chain are both marine and terrestrial predators. In the oceans, orcas and humpback whales dominate. Orcas hunt cooperatively, encircling fish schools or even attacking seals. Humpbacks, famous for their graceful breaches, send up towering splashes, creating awe-inspiring spectacle. On land, wolves and lynxes are secretive hunters. Though few in number, they play critical roles in maintaining ecological balance. Wolves keep deer populations in check, preventing overgrazing, while lynxes expertly ambush small mammals, acting as the fjord's silent forest guardians. While the fjord's ecosystems appear robust, they are extremely fragile. Melting glacier, rising water temperatures, and human activities are altering the delicate food web. Declining herring populations affect bird reproduction, glacial retreat shifts plant distributions, and tourism and fishing introduce new pressures. As a result, Norway's fjords are not only natural wonders, they are frontlines for environmental conservation. Scientists conduct long-term monitoring of animal migrations, fish stocks, and glacier dynamics, providing critical data for ecosystem protection. Video can illustrate this interplay between science and nature through satellite imagery, fieldwork, and observational footage. The story of life in the fjords reminds us that every component of nature is interdependent. Phytoplankton capture sunlight, fish rely on them, seabirds prey on the fish, and whales maintain balance at the ocean's apex. Every plant and animal on land plays an irreplaceable role in this intricate ecological tapestry. For viewers, the fjord ecosystems offer more than scientific insight. They provide a profound sense of wonder. They remind us that protecting nature is ultimately protecting the foundation upon which our own survival depends. The fjords are not only renowned for their breathtaking scenery, they are epic chronicles written by the Earth itself. Millions of years ago, the Scandinavian region underwent repeated glacial periods, with glacier hundreds of meters thick covering mountains and valleys. As the climate fluctuated, these glaciers began to move slowly, acting like massive sculpting knives, grinding deep troughs and steep cliffs into the bedrock. Driven by gravity and pressure, the glacier advanced toward the coastline, crushing, fracturing, and transporting rocks, ultimately shaping the fjords we see today. What makes fjords unique is their deep, narrow structure. The valley floors often lie hundreds of meters below sea level, while the flanking cliffs soar dramatically skyward. This geomorphological marvel is the result not only of glacial erosion but also of subsequent marine invasion. When the last glacier retreated, seawater flooded the carved valleys, transforming the fjords into landscapes where mountains and ocean intertwine. Many fjords today are deeper than the nearby seas, with some plunging over 1,000 meters, making them among the world's most iconic glacial landforms. Geologists can still trace the marks left by ancient glacier on fjord cliffs. Scratches and grooves on the rock surfaces, caused by rocks embedded in the ice, reveal the direction of glacial movement and provide crucial clues for studying climate change and glacier dynamics. Close-up shots of these textures allow viewers to witness how natural forces have reshaped mountains over millions of years. The fjord's rock formations themselves are of immense scientific value. The geology primarily consists of gneiss, granite, and metamorphic rocks, formed during ancient orogenic events under extreme pressure and temperature. Subsequent glacial carving and sedimentation exposed these ancient rocks, creating a window into Earth's geological history. A slow drone pan along the cliffs can highlight the colors and layers of these formations, unfolding the planet's memory like a living tapestry. Beyond bedrock, fjords often feature moraines and U-shaped valleys, the sedimentary remnants left by melting glacier. Ice-dammed basins and horn peaks also appear in certain locations, typical glacial features that, together with the fjords, complete the glacial landscape. Aerial footage can capture these formations, helping viewers grasp the full scope of geological processes. Today, fjords are not static. Glaciers continue to move slowly, and climate warming accelerates their retreat. Scientists track these changes by comparing historical photos with modern satellite imagery, documenting the gradual withdrawal of ice fronts. Glacial melt not only alters landforms but also affects hydrology and ecosystems. Sediments carried by meltwater accumulate on fjord floors, gradually creating new landforms. Time-lapse sequences can compress decades of glacial retreat into seconds, vividly showing viewers the power of geological change. The story of fjord geology and glacier is not just for scientists. It is a window into nature's grand design. From rock textures to glacial motion, each detail reveals the Earth's power and the magnitude of time. Understanding fjord formation delivers both visual awe and a deeper appreciation for natural evolution and environmental stewardship. The climate of the fjords is equally captivating. Mountain ranges intercept oceanic air currents, creating distinct microclimates. Coastal fjord mouths are typically humid and rainy, while the inner valleys may be drier, with noticeable temperature differences. These climatic variations influence vegetation distribution and foster diverse ecosystems. Precipitation is abundant, especially in autumn and winter. Moisture-laden westerly winds rise along the fjord walls, condensing into rain or snow. High cliffs often concentrate rainfall or snow accumulation mid-slope, producing localized downpours or snowstorms. In winter, mountaintops and high ridges remain snow-covered, with snow lines hundreds of meters lower than the inland terrain, providing essential water for alpine ecosystems. Drone footage can capture mist weaving through the fjords and waterfalls cascading down cliffs, enhancing the visual drama. Temperature variations are equally striking. Summer brings cool, humid air from the sea, keeping valley floors relatively stable, while mountaintops remain cold and snow persists. In winter, cold air may pool in deep valleys, making valley floors several degrees cooler than fjord mouths. Morning fogs and temperature inversions often create layered landscapes, with sunlit peaks rising above mist-filled valleys, ideal visuals for cinematographers. Wind is also a significant factor. Fjord's narrow geometry produces a wind tunnel effect, accelerating airflow through the valleys, sometimes reaching tens of kilometers per hour. This affects snow lines, vegetation distribution, and challenges for navigation and mountaineering. Aerial shots of trees swaying and water rippling can vividly illustrate the force of wind. Seasonal changes are pronounced. Spring brings snowmelt, rushing streams, blooming flowers, and reawakened wildlife. Summer reaches the peak of greenery, with lush forests and clear waters nourished by humid sea air. Autumn cloaks larch, birch, and conifers in golden and fiery hues, with morning mist and low-angle sunlight enhancing the fjord's serenity and grandeur. Winter blankets the fjords in thick snow, freezing rivers, and creating striking landscapes for skiing and exploration. Climate change has notable impacts. Rising global temperatures reduce winter snowfall, accelerate glacial retreat, and may affect sea levels at fjord mouths, influencing tides. Scientists employ weather stations, satellites, and drones to monitor temperature, precipitation, and wind, providing data for ecosystem management and human activity. Videos combining live meteorological visuals with aerial landscapes can convey the dynamic effects of climate change. The fjord's climate shapes a rich ecological mosaic. Moist valley bottoms support dense forests of conifers and larches. Sunlit slopes host cold-tolerant herbs and mosses, and rivers and lakes provide habitats for fish, amphibians, and birds. Differences in altitude and seasonal cycles create a vertically layered ecosystem, which can be showcased through aerial, macro, and time-lapse shots to reveal the interaction between climate and ecology. This unique climate also influences human life and culture. Fjord communities rely on abundant rainfall and hydropower for agriculture and fishing. Buildings must withstand heavy rain and snow, and daily activities, fishing, farming, and navigation, are shaped by tides, wind, and weather patterns. Including footage of local life in videos can vividly illustrate the intimate connection between climate and culture. The fjord's hydrological system forms the very backbone of their landscape and ecology. Rivers and lakes, fed by glacial meltwater, precipitation, and underground runoff, not only shape the valleys but also support remarkable biodiversity. Glacial streams flow slowly along the fjord valleys, weaving through the terrain before merging with the sea at the fjord mouths. In summer, increased glacial melt accelerates river flow, swelling the waters. In winter, the streams are calmer. Aerial shots reveal these rivers as silver ribbons snaking through the valleys, reflecting mountains and forests, a living portrait of dynamic natural beauty. Rivers play a decisive role in shaping fjord topography. Over time, their erosive power carves rock, transports sediments, and forms U-shaped valleys and river terraces. Deep water areas in the fjords are often drowned river valleys, sculpted by the combined action of freshwater and seawater. Rapid flows at the valley bottoms create habitats for fish and provide fertile soils for riverside vegetation. Using a combination of aerial and underwater shots, videos can vividly showcase water interacting with rock faces and aquatic life thriving in this ever-changing environment. Seasonal variations in fjord water systems are pronounced. Spring snowmelt floods rivers, scouring beds and depositing fresh sediments that stimulate riverside plant growth. Summer rainfall maintains steady flow, providing ample habitats for fish and amphibians. In autumn, leaf litter adds nutrients to the water, supporting aquatic life. Winter sees partial freezing or reduced flow, yet cold-tolerant species continue to thrive. Time-lapse photography can elegantly convey how these seasonal hydrological cycles sustain fjord ecosystems. Lakes in the fjord system are equally vital. Many are glacially carved, deep-water basins that provide shelter for aquatic species and serve as critical breeding grounds for migratory birds. Seasonal water temperature changes regulate the reproduction of plankton and fish. Summer brings warmth to the surface waters, while winter ice creates unique underwater habitats. Drone footage combined with underwater shots can illustrate both the physical dynamics and ecological vitality of these lakes. Tidal flows and seawater intrusion are also key components. Saline water penetrates the fjord mouths, forming brackish zones that sustain fish, shellfish, and seabirds. Tides influence human activity as well, shaping fisheries while affecting navigation. Videos can capture these tidal rhythms with time-lapse sequences and aerial views, showing the interaction between humans and the dynamic water environment. Groundwater and springs play a subtle yet crucial role. Meltwater and fractures in the bedrock feed streams and wetlands, sustaining mosses, shrubs, and aquatic plants, which in turn attract birds and amphibians. Microshots, drone footage, and underwater filming can reveal these intricate microhabitats, adding layers of ecological depth to the story. Water interacts closely with climate, terrain, and ecology. Meltwater, precipitation, tides, and groundwater collectively shape fjord hydrodynamics, influencing vegetation patterns, animal migrations, and ecosystem cycles. By combining aerial views, time-lapse, underwater filming, and data visualization, videos can clearly present the dynamic relationship between water and life in the fjords. Human communities are deeply connected to this hydrology. Fjord residents rely on rivers for hydropower, irrigation, and freshwater, and on lakes and streams for daily life and tourism. The seasonal and climate-sensitive nature of fjord water systems has shaped local cultural rhythms and lifestyles. Including footage of fishing, farming, and hydroelectric facilities helps illustrate this intimate link between humans and water. The fjord slopes and valleys are adorned with diverse plant communities, ranging from temperate forests at low altitudes to alpine tundra and rocky vegetation at higher elevations. Each layer reflects the remarkable adaptability of life to extreme conditions. Low-altitude zones are dominated by mixed coniferous and broadleaf forests, with Norway spruce, Scots pine, silver birch, and beach-stabilizing slopes, preventing soil erosion and providing habitats for birds, mammals, and insects. Drone footage can reveal the layered structure of the forest, while slow-motion shots capture sunlight filtering through leaves, adding ecological atmosphere and visual beauty. Mid-altitude shrublands and alpine meadows serve as vital ecological buffers. Cold-tolerant shrubs like rhododendron, bilberry, and alpine dogwood thrive here, while meadows are dotted with hardy alpine herbs and mosses. Summer brings vibrant wildflowers, dwarf morning glory, gentians, red carnations, and yellow buttercups, swaying in the wind. Combining aerial and macro shots can highlight the colorful interplay of flowers, moss carpets, and shrubs, showcasing biodiversity and resilience. High-altitude tundra and rocky zones endure harsh conditions. Sparse yet highly adaptive, vegetation here includes lichens, mosses, rock crevice plants, and dwarf shrubs. Many grow in clumps near the ground to absorb solar heat. Macro shots can reveal the delicate textures of these plants, demonstrating life thriving under extreme conditions. Seasonal meltwater is critical for survival, a dynamic that can be beautifully conveyed through time-lapse photography. Vegetation is the backbone of the fjord ecosystem. Trees and shrubs provide food and shelter. Mosses and lichens regulate soil moisture. Meadows sustain large mammals. Complex interactions abound. Mountain goats graze on alpine meadows, raptors patrol cliffs and forests, and insects pollinate and reproduce among flowers. Combining drone and macro footage can portray this intricate web of life, offering viewers both visual beauty and ecological insight. Seasonal cycles enrich these plant communities further. Spring sees forests budding and flowers blooming. Summer brings peak growth and pollination. Autumn colors transform landscapes as animals prepare for winter. Winter covers lowlands in snow while high-altitude flora enters dormancy. Time-lapse photography can elegantly convey these seasonal rhythms, linking plant dynamics to fjord landscapes for both educational and cinematic impact. Climate is a key determinant of plant distribution. Moist coastal climates sustain dense low-altitude forests, while high winds and low temperatures at higher elevations favor tundra vegetation. Variations in sunlight, moisture, and temperature across altitudes and slopes create distinct vertical zoning, which can be illustrated with map overlays and aerial footage. Human activity has shaped these plant communities as well. Traditional grazing, timber harvesting, tourism, and trail construction alter distributions, but conservation measures, protected areas, ecological tourism, plant monitoring, forest restoration, and fire prevention help preserve the ecosystem. Video scenes of conservation work, scientific surveys, and volunteer planting can highlight human-nature interaction and stewardship. Local culture is deeply tied to plants. Alpine berries and herbs have traditional uses in medicine, crafts, and cuisine. Bilberries, for example, are used in jams and beverages, while alpine herbs feature in folk remedies. Showcasing local residents harvesting, processing, and using plants can illustrate the multifaceted value of vegetation in both nature and culture. The Fjord Mountains of Norway are more than dramatic landscapes. They are living ecosystems, shaped by climate, glacial history, and life's resilience. From glacially carved valleys to hardy alpine tundra, from raptors soaring above cliffs to mammals roaming forests, every scene tells a story of Earth's evolution over millions of years. Humans explore, record, and learn here, forging deep connections while bearing the responsibility of conservation. Whether through sweeping aerial views or intimate close-ups of alpine flowers, each frame reveals the power and beauty of nature. As the seasons turn, sunlight, ice, snow, wind, and rain weave ever-changing light and color, showing life's endurance and ingenuity in extreme environments. The Norwegian fjords are a natural museum, a silent history book, and a living classroom of human-nature interaction. Protecting these ecosystems is not merely preserving land, it is a commitment to future generations and to the planet itself. Each journey into the fjords can inspire curiosity, awe, and responsibility, reminding us that humans and nature can truly coexist in harmony.